All right, everyone. Welcome to Christories. My name is Chris DiStefano, aka Christory DiStefano, and this is Christories. Welcome to Christories. I wanted to talk to you today about the Iranian hostage crisis because I feel like I'm being held hostage by Sergio in a bucket hat. Sir- What do you know about the Iranian hostage crisis besides it probably had something to do with Donald Trump, right?
Yo, I'll tell you what I know about Iranians. My favorite one is Iron Sheik. And Hulk Hogan just met his fate. And Iron Sheik has been up there for, I'm assuming the pearly gates. And Iron Sheik is going to meet Hogan at the pearly gates in a Cobra clutch. So that's what it is.
Wow, so there you have it. Sergio Chacon said Donald Trump will go to heaven. So let me take you back to the 1970s when your pop was doing crack.
Actually, it was heroin. He had some class. He had a whole little kit.
So there's a Shah. His name is Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. He kind of looks like Ricky Velez. If you look up our good friend Ricky Velez, well, you don't have to look. He's awesome. You know, he's blowing up. So look up Ricky Velez, and this looks like an older Ricky Velez, who's Iranian. So he's the Iranian monarch at the time in the 1970s, and he was a king, but he really was like a dictator, right? Near total power, right? Try how Trump is now, right? No king's protest. So he had this secret police, all right? And they were, like spying, torturing people, blah, blah, blah. But for decades, I don't know if you knew this, but the United States was allies and supporters with the Shah in the 70s because for what reason did the United States want him to have power? What do you think it was?
They probably want to take over.
What does Iran have?
Nuclear missiles?
No, in 1970.
Oil.
Oil. Bing, 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 bing. It's all about oil, people. I like to rub it on my face and do blackface with oil. Sorry.
Which, by the way, I'm a big fan of baby oil, but Diddy fucked that up for all of us.
That's true. That's true. So we're a fan of Middle Eastern oil, but not Diddy oil.
Yeah.
They should just call it Diddy oil now.
Yeah, but I loved baby oil. Early 2000s, I done oil some booties.
Yo, would you bang Ghislaine Maxwell back in the day?
I'll bang her now.
There you have it.
You know what I'm saying? I'll boo for fucking.
Yeah.
I'll boo for some paraphernalia for her. I'll put it right in my asshole and visit Elaine. I'll be like, I got you, girl. What you need? Twix? What you need? What you need? Some Cheetos?
So, oil.
Just for, in case your audience don't know, boof means you put it up your ass. And,
No, my audience knows.
Okay.
So, oil and Cold War politics. These were the biggest reasons why the United States had this, relationship with Iran. So Iran had huge oil reserves, and the Shah kept the oil flowing to the West. Okay. So, American companies, British companies, they had deep investments in oil. They are heavily involved in Iran's oil industry. Iran is not the enemy in the 1970s. That's why the gas prices were so low, because Iran was giving us a good deal. Mm-hmm. So a pro-Western Shah, which is what this dude was, meant cheap, reliable access to oil. So thank you. Shout out to low gas prices. So Iran, do you know where Iran is located?
It's the Middle East?
Right, but do you know what country it borders?
Is it Libya?
Well, one of the countries it borders, Russia.
Okay.
So Russia is still Cold War enemy of the United States.
Right.
1970s Cold War enemy, still an enemy to this day. Shout out. And they wanted a strong communist. The United States wanted Iran because Soviet Union is such a communist threat. They were like, we want a border country basically blocking the communism. So the Shah acted as like a defensive wall against Soviet influence. So Shah spent also, what else was the Shah doing? Not only oil, he also was buying our weapons. He's spending billions on them nukes. He's spending billions on them jets.
Those weapons of mass destruction.
That's what it is. So U.S. companies were just making so much money. Because at the end of the day, when people say, wars about this and the humanitarian causes and all that stuff, it's just about money to the big dogs up top. Mm-hmm. These presidents and kings, it's just about money. It's never about the people. It's just about money. You all right?
Yeah.
What year were you born?
1979.
Ooh, well, this is January 1978.
Okay.
So you swimming in your daddy's ball sack by now. So this is about the time, Sergio, you about swimming in. Kind of look like a sperm. So Shah Muhammad Reza Pahlavi, the guy who I said looks like Ricky Velez, the authoritarian, he's got the
Authoritarian.
authoritarian. I just
Yeah.
had a stroke. Authoritarian rule. The people start to rebel against that because yes, he's cool with us, but the people are like, nah, you're a dick. So they start to protest. You would have been at the protest.
Exactly. Hell no!
Yeah. So
Protesting in arms.
yes. So and in Iran,
chains.
you protest, you get fucked up for that.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not just it's not like the United States. It's not just a bunch of lesbos walking down the street blocking traffic. So, decades of frustration. The Iranians, everybody from all walks. It actually brought unity to the Iranian people. Religious leaders, students, workers, middle class rose up protesting the Shah. The economy was struggling. Okay, no money. Inequality was growing, and people just felt disconnected from their culture and religion because of the Western influence. So the Middle East is saying, we were fine before the West came in. That's what a lot of these Middle Eastern countries say. Unfortunately, you look at a lot of these Middle Eastern countries before U.S. influence, and it looked pretty good. They look pretty good. We come and we fuck things up. What are you going to do? Keep the prices down. These protests grew larger and larger. The Shah tried to crush the protests, hurt people, killed a few people, and then people just started getting, people started galvanizing against the cause. The crowds just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then in 1978, these demonstrations, they led directly to the fall of the monarchy in 1979, and it was the beginning of the end for the Shah, and it was what we call the Iranian Revolution. Began in 1979. So this is leading right into this Iranian hostage crisis because shit is getting unstable, Pop.
Yeah.
So the Shah leaves Iran, okay, because in January 1979, he had cancer and he didn't want to tell anyone that he had cancer.
What kind of cancer did he have?
He had a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So but he was like not, you can't back in those, well, still, the Middle Eastern leaders, like, you can't show weakness. So if you're sick at all, like, the North Korean people think Kim Jong-un's never taken a shit because he told them he doesn't shit. That's a fact. He's told the North Korean people that he never shits, and they believe him.
No way.
I'm telling you, Google it. That's a fact. So
That's wild.
it's wild, and his people and the Koreans believe it. So the Shah leaves, right? And so the Shah, he'd been, she's had this non-Hodgkin's lymphoma since about 1974. Now it's 1979. The illness was getting bad by 1979.
I can't get over a leader telling his people that
Kim Jong-un.
So he's just like a body of shit.
He tells
Leading
people
the
he
people?
never. He tells people he doesn't shit.
He's like that weird science creature, that
Yeah.
blob that's
Yeah.
sitting there full of shit. Just like,
Yeah, he tells people he doesn't shit, and they believe him. So what are you gonna do?
He has no asshole. It's just smooth
He
like a Ken doll.
he tells
like,
them
you know
that-
how you pull a pants off
Yes.
of a Ken doll? It's just
Yes.
like a smooth, there's no hole.
They believe he doesn't have an asshole. Yes. Wow. So the Shah, his health's deteriorating. And being sick is a sign of weakness, and he wants to hide all that. Like my man FDR, I drive on it every day. Shout out to FDR.
That traffic crazy.
Yeah. So he leaves. He actually he goes on a vacation to Egypt, but nobody's going on vacation to Egypt. What are you going to see? The pyramids? He goes on vacation to Egypt, where the president of Egypt, his name was Anwar Sadat, he welcomed him in, said it's all good. And then the Shah actually came to the U.S. for cancer treatment. So how does that make you feel, right? A lot of people out here can't get health coverage, but we're letting in the Iranian Shah, bloodthirsty Shah, so he could get cancer treatment. So the king goes away, the Shah. So this opens up a path for the Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. So this guy, the Ayatollah, this is kind of how Iran, the way Iran is today, it's run by the Ayatollah. It's kind of like, they got hardcore Sharia law and all that. It starts here with this dude, 1979. Because before,
Ayatollah sounds so playful, though.
yeah,
Right? It sounds like it's the same thing with like all these like factions that these warlord groups. Like sometimes I feel like they need to rebrand their names.
yeah, like
Because
what?
like the Ayatollah is like, oh, that's
cute,
adorable.
yeah.
It's cute. The same thing with I've always thought ISIS was like, it reminded me of like
Yeah.
like some sort of like
Like it sounds nice.
yeah, ISIS.
And my favorite porn star, Isis Love.
yeah, it kind of ISIS love.
Yo, she's hot. Yo,
It reminds me of like Italian ISIS or some shit.
yeah. So who was the Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini? So he was a Shia Muslim religious scholar and a political activist. So he's into political activism. He's all about, being a hardcore muzzy-wuzzy. Shia Muslim, that's Sharia law. That means only you can only see the wife's eyeball, the women's eyeballs, as you say, 3/4 cloth.
Yeah, these women gotta wear three-fourths of cloth.
Yeah. And the term Ayatollah, it actually means high-ranking religious leader, like a cardinal in the Catholic Church. So that's what it is in the Muslim faith. So this dude, by the way, Khomeini, he was speaking out against the Shah since the 60s. He hates the Western influence. He hates the United States. He's the death to America guy. Hates them, wants all these reforms, blah, blah, blah. And, he hates that the Shah who fled to Egypt is all about being in business with the United States and Israel. And he's telling the people, that's the devil. He thinks we're like Satanists, right? The Shah.
The original founder of Satanism, Anton LaVey. I read his book.
Where is he from?
He's from the United States.
Of course.
Yeah. He had an interesting quote. Like, every human has a demon in them that should be exorcised, not exorcised. A beast in them. Every human has a beast in them that should be exorcised, not exorcised.
Well, we know what Sergio's next tattoo is going to be. They're probably going to put it on one of his feathers.
Yo, shout out to Anton LaVey. I went through a Gothic phase in 1999.
So he's going through the 60s and the 70s while the Shah is, running Iran. Ayatollah Khomeini is going through Iraq, France, basically speeches, tapes back to Iran, basically preaching the word of the West sucks. You need me back in there. So Khomeini, the Shah leaves to go to Egypt for the cancer treatment. Khomeini comes back to Iran 2 weeks later because the Shah had banned Khomeini from Iran for all those years. So now he steps back in. And when he gets back, when Khomeini comes back on February 1st, 1979, goes to Tehran, the capital of Iran, 3 million people are there waiting for him. 3 million people just waiting and clapping for him. It's like a Nate Bargatze show.
Wow.
Yep. So a crowd of 3 million. So he's got the country on his side.
A lot.
So within days, he says the Shah's government's illegitimate. They're out. And he appoints his own interim prime minister, Barzaghan was the guy's last name. And the entire military of Iran that was for the Shah, they all went with Khomeini. So now the Shah can't come back. It's basically like, you lost your whole country, Pop. It's like when a guy comes in and, if you having sex with your wife and he takes over your family. It's happened to a couple of people I know. So
he was.
A lot of those children might not be yours.
So he's stuck in Egypt?
He's stuck in Egypt, cancer treatment, dying, can't go back to his country. He's out. So Khomeini is now the supreme leader of the revolution. He's the guy, right? So,
and what are his politics exactly? Is he
Khomeini?
Yeah,
bro.
Dictatorship,
Muslim law, Sharia law, women covered head to toe, Muslim.
And the leader before him who just wasn't as hardcore.
The leader before the Shah, because he was getting all that Western oil money, he would let the U.S.
He said, we could throw McDonald's there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
He had the U.S. embassy in there, but the Khomeini is saying, I want everybody who's in the West is my enemy, so get them out of here. So, national vote, they changed the name of Iran to the Islamic Republic of Iran. That is the official name so it's like crazy. And then he becomes the country's supreme leader. That's what he wants. If you are living in a country and your leader has the word supreme in front of it, it's not good. Supreme is good in the United States for a little fashion, like your hat, but you don't want to have your leader being supreme.
Yeah, dogs. So Supreme, I like a Supreme Clientele, Ghostface Killah second album.
Yeah. Guys, I want to talk to you about a little product called House of Atlas. If you're into shaving your face, then you're going to want to use House of Atlas razors. I've been using it. I've been shaving my face, shaving my balls. I've been shaving any part of my body that grows hair, okay? My legs are kind of more hairless, like a Chinese man. I have the legs of a Chinese man. So I don't grow much hair there, but I do get facial hair, and I do grow hair in and around my nutsack and in my asshole. And I use House of Atlas razors to shave that, and I think you should too, because first of all, the Atlas razor looks sick. It's a sleek design, easy to hold and maneuver, with a nice freaking weight to it. It's got a nice weight to it, and I like the black one. You know why. And it's truly the best looking razor I've ever seen. I mean, this razor, you're going to want to have sex with this razor. The coolest part is the precision trim edge that's revealed by flipping back the serum strip for straight edges and detailing, allows you to get right under your nose and create straight sideburns. And that'll be the only thing straight about you. Their aftershave is awesome too. It doesn't burn like old school aftershave, but it does have a nice cooling sensation, and it smells really good, because you also want to smell good, okay? You want to smell good. Maybe, Maybe Steve Fury's girlfriend wants to dump him because he's not using House of Atlas razors and he doesn't smell good. So that could be it too. And the premium razor kits come with a magnetic storage hook that you can attach to your bathroom mirror or medicine cabinet for easy storage. So right now, for a limited time only, they're offering 20% off site-wide plus free shipping at houseofatlas.com. Just use the code chaos at checkout. That's HOUSEOFATLAS.com with promo code chaos for 20% off everything. And House of Atlas is now available at Target stores nationwide, so you know they'll be selling them in the parking lot. Getting your grooming game on point has never been easier. Stop wasting money and time on shaving products that don't look good, aren't effective, and cost way too much. Visit houseofatlas.com today. Trust me, you'll love it as much as I did. Let me see those pubes. If you're like me, instead of learning to skateboard, you wish you were learning to write code, because that's what I'd say. Instead of scraping through college, you wish you bought Bitcoin at less than a cent or secured a few NVIDIA shares before they bombed. Yep. We might be the FOMO generation, but don't miss out on protecting your future. For around the same price per month as one of your streaming services, you can break our generational cycle and secure your and your family's future by finding life insurance at SelectQuote.com. Here's the truth. I do like SelectQuote.com, and I have life insurance myself, and I've gotten the chance to meet some of my fans from the podcast that I deeply appreciate, and I urge you all to get life insurance because you're some of the fattest people I've ever seen in my life. And you guys can barely breathe. I mean, the amount of 4XL t-shirts I sell on my website is alarming, okay? You fat fucks need life insurance, and I want you to use SelectQuote. SelectQuote, life insurance, pick the policy. Here's the thing. Life is a wild ride, okay? Steve Fury's in the background of the camera. He's a guy. So Steve, come in here, Steve. So this is Steve Fury, everyone. He's on my show. That's it. He's on my show. Now, Steve is from a little town called Sacramento. Now, if you're from Sacramento, I would say absolutely get life insurance because the last time I was there, the homeless were burning the city down by the river. So they were just lighting garbage on fire. They murdered a couple people in the streets. So if you live in any state capital or near any state capital, you're going to want life insurance. You're going to want to use SelectQuote. Okay? Pat Williams, the other guy on the show, I would also urge him to get life insurance, but it isn't as urgent because he's living in Halifax, Nova Scotia right now, and he's probably going to before the year's over. So I don't know if that happens, if he's going to be able to get the life insurance, but hopefully he is. And if he does, I urge him to use SelectQuote and get that life insurance. That's what you're looking for. Life insurance policy today with SelectQuote. Tell him Chrissy Chaos sent you. So the other day I got a box to the house and had all these wonderful snacks. They were healthy snacks, like summer snacks, barbecue flavored stuff. The kids were going through it. I said, where the hell is this from? And then I looked at the box and it was Thrive Market. I can't tell you how good the snacks were at Thrive Market. Let me tell you what we had. So they had the road trip snacks. My kids had like those like good like granola mix, like the almonds. They had like a little chocolate in them. We had these barbecue sticks. They had wine. There was wine in the market, so that was nice. That was nice because we were on a road trip and the kids were going wild, and my wife was getting like all out of shit, yelling and crazy, and then she was yelling at me, and I'm like, I just need to get to where we're going. I just need to get to Colonial Williamsburg, Virginia, and put on a colonial outfit and grab a musket. Like, I need to escape my life. So I gave her some of this clean wine from Thrive Market, and I just slipped it in her drink with a little Ambien, and she fell right asleep, and I had really a nice trip. And Thrive Market, they have magnesium, B12, antioxidant-rich snacks like green tea and omega-3 seed mixes. If you and your husband want to deal, listen, here's the truth. If you're a small woman who does yoga or a gay man, Thrive Market even works for you because they have all this stuff. Like, this is magnesium, B12. Come on, it's beautiful. Stock up smart this summer with Thrive Market. Go to thrivemarket.com/chaos to get 30% off your first order. 30% is crazy. That's a lot. Plus a free $60 gift just for signing up. I mean, I don't even know how this company makes money. They're giving 30% off and they're giving you a $60 gift. That's amazing. Thrive Market, you guys are amazing. Thrivemarket.com/chaos. Thrivemarket.com/chaos. Get the gluten-free buns. Those are really good. I like those gluten-free buns, and they got low sugar treats. So if you want to keep your feet, you'll go to Thrive Market. Boys, I want to see your rock hard cocks. Let's see them. There it is. See how his is harder? That's a Blue Chew cock. That's what I want to talk to you guys about. Blue Chew. Thank you for sponsoring the episode. You know me. I want to see your RHPs, your rock hard penises. I want you guys to DM them to me. I know which ones are Blue Chew and which ones aren't. I'm getting really, really good. And I know that Pat Williams is not using Blue Chew, but his boy is. So listen, and here's the truth, guys, okay? Their tablets are made in the United States of America. So you get freedom boners, you know that they're good, and your cocks will just knock people right over the wall. And that's what we want to see. Look, we've got a special deal for our listeners. As always, you get your first month of Blue Chew free. Just use the promo code CHAOS at checkout and pay $5 for shipping. That's it. You literally $5 and you get a boner delivered to your door. Discreet packaging, nobody knows but you and your cock. Join Blue Chew's mission to upgrade humanity one thrust at a time. Head to bluechew.com for details and important safety info. I want you to walk into every single room you enter, dick first. Okay, that's what I want. I want you knocking people unconscious with your Blue Chew pee-pee. Big thanks to Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. I'm hard. So he brings in his religious and political authority, and he creates the new system combining Islamic law, which is Sharia law, with absolute clerical rule, which is the same system that's in Iran today. So that's what I'm saying. Iran, that you know of right now, that the United States almost went to war with, that dropped a fucking bunker buster bomb on, is this Iran. It's the same thing. So,
But a very, very poor country, right?
yes, very poor.
Because the United States, put an embargo on them. They're not really allowed to trade with many people, right?
But they got that. But they have a lot of oil, so they do have a lot of money. But
internally, they're very wealthy, but they're unable to trade with a lot of people.
Exactly. And actually, by the way, the Shah winds up getting cancer treatment in New York in October 1979. So right about when you were born. You were born on September 11, 1979, right? Right? So the Shah's getting cancer treatment in October 1979. So he there when you there. He might have been in the room next to you.
He might have started kicking to my mom.
Yeah, it's possible. But this is a big problem. The reason I'm mentioning that is because this is what kind of causes the issue. So, he's getting, they don't want to let the Shah in. A lot of the Iranian people are like, because again, they hate America. So when he comes to America, the U.S. Henry Kissinger, who was the former U.S. Secretary of State, and David Rockefeller, who was the head of Chase Manhattan Bank from the Rockefeller family, they were such close political allies and friends of the Shah that they let him in. They let him into the country to get cancer treatments, and a lot of people were like, "Why are you doing that? Don't let this guy in here." But they did it, and so what happens then is all the U.S. people who are working in the embassy back in Iran are now. Now the Ayatollah says, "Oh wow, they just let the Shah, who we hate, into America. Now we're going to hold you guys hostage." Basically, so that the Americans are sitting there being like, "Why are you letting this guy into the country? We're still in Iranian soil. This is going to piss them off." But Jimmy Carter and Henry Kissinger are like, "Fuck it, we made deals with this guy, whatever." So this is going to cause a big problem, and because
being that they're mending to his knees, nurturing him, now they're going to take it out on the U.S. people in Iran.
So Jimmy,
who are these people?
They're they work in the embassy. They're like American embassy. Like, you ever seen the movie Argo?
Yes.
This is the story of that.
Right.
So okay. Argo is a movie that talks.
The politicians per se.
The politicians just on foreign soil, which they were okay to be there with the old Shah because he was pro-Western. But now this new Ayatollah doesn't like them, and now you just let the old Shah into your country. You pissed them off even more.
Yeah, that's crazy. So this place is crumbling down, and they can't exit. They're probably trying to get the passports together and shit. That's crazy.
They can't get anything, and they're watching this on the news like, what the hell? And Jimmy Carter's like, "Oh, it was the right thing to do to let a dying man of cancer into our country to get treatment." It's like, he was a bloodthirsty, he was like a dictator and killed his own people. You let him in because you made money off him, and now you let your Americans, they're going to wound up being hostage for 444 days. We'll get to that, but it gets wild. So what happened is Henry Kissinger famously said, it is a disgrace that the United States should not let a man who was our ally for 37 years into our country for cancer treatment. And it's like, all right, dogs, I know he was your ally, but things have changed now, and you have American people in the country that there's no way out for them.
How many hostages?
So I think there was 44. I forget. We're going to get to the exact number, but this inflamed the tensions in Iran immediately. Immediately, this causes a big problem. So Shah's, first of all, him even getting into the United States, outrage. Many people viewed the Shah as the brutal dictator responsible for years of oppression and torture. And what Iranians feared is what Iranians were scared of is that they thought the U.S. was going to help the Shah return to power and kick out the Ayatollah, just like because in 1953 they CIA backed a coup to basically put. That's what the United States CIA does. They stage these coups
Right.
to get their leader in that would help them with their. So that's what they thought was going to happen again. So the
Yeah,
Shah.
they done that countless times. I believe they did that in Nicaragua. They did that
Yep.
in Afghanistan.
Yep. So what happens is this is where it gets to the crisis now. In November 4th, 1979, he was just a young pup. A group of radical Iranian university students calling themselves the student followers of the Imam's line. Bet you're going to want to read a book about them. Student protesters, you love it. Organized a protest outside the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, and their main demand was the extradition of the Shah. So what they said was, deliver the Shah back to us and we'll go away. And the U.S. is saying, well, no, he's getting cancer treatment here, fuck you. So that's putting the actual American citizens who are sitting inside the embassy in Tehran in a very, very, very difficult situation, which years later, the government will admit, we shouldn't have done that. If you have no Americans in the country, do whatever you want. But you had people in the embassy, and that the Iranians are not going to let them go. So it begins as a demonstration, escalates. Then the students storm the embassy compound. They overwhelm the guards, and they took 90 people hostage, including 66 American diplomats and citizens. They knocked out the Marines. Like, they had Marines guarding it, and they just overpowered them.
Wow.
Around 10:30 a.m. on November 4th, 1979, they knocked down the embassy gates, cut through the chains, overwhelmed the Marine guards, and then the U.S. personnel raced. They was trying to destroy all their documents, like, anything that could be taken by the, quote unquote Iranian enemy, but they couldn't get it in time. So they only were able to shred half of the documents. So Iran got their hands on a lot of U.S. stuff that they shouldn't have their hands on. Embassy workers were blindfolded, tied up. I know a lot of guys are jerking off right now. Embassy workers, they were blindfolded, tied up. And they were shoved into various rooms at gunpoint. So it's not like they were being treated nice. The Iranians were like, fuck y'all. So students, the hostages were held in offices, storage rooms, and basement cells.
It does kind of make it sound nicer that there's students that are doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. As an Iranian parent, I'd be like, I'm happy that, this is what I'm paying for college for. And so the Iranian hostages are being held, right? The American hostages are being held, and then they're hearing death to America chants all outside. And, the crowd swells to thousands. Everybody, death to America. And you're just imagine you're just a political guy, you're in a suit, you're wearing tighty-whitey underwear. You don't know what the fuck you're going to do.
Right.
There's nobody to help you now. You're on your own. And the U.S. is saying, we're cutting off diplomatic ties with the Iranians. So the students are raising the Iranian flag proudly. Sounds like a protest in New York City, burning American flags in front of news cameras. What is this, Williamsburg, Brooklyn? And
the voice crack is insane.
yeah. And then by nightfall, they had 66 Americans in captivity, and the embassy was under full control of the students. We are now in a crisis. You have just reached crisis mode. So, Barghazan, the diplomat that Ayatollah Khomeini, the Sharia law, the new leader of Iran, the guy that he appointed, Barghazan actually says, let's release the hostages and maintain international law. So he's thinking,
logically,
let's just get him out. But Ayatollah Khomeini says, nope, the U.S. Embassy is a den of spies. We're keeping them as spies. So he's like, oh, shit. So the next day, then Barghazan resigns in protest. And he's like, you know what? I'm not dealing with this. So then that leaves Khamenei is fully the full supreme leader of the Islamic Republic, has nobody checking his power. It's just him. So technically, by the students invading the U.S. Embassy, they were violating the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, which protects diplomats. Diplomats are supposed to be protected.
Right.
You can't hurt a diplomat. You got to let them park in
They
your
can
parking
also
spots.
literally get away with murder.
They really can. And they probably have.
They have many times over.
Yeah. Here we go. Oh, God. So what happens is this really messes up the diplomatic relationship, the international law, and all that.
Because I have a hard arm.
I was going to say. So yeah, as soon as you start hearing "death to America," Sergio, it gets hard. So what Soleimani does is he cancels all the military treaties that he has with the United States. So the United States and Iran were making money back and forth. So he cancels all that. He's like, fuck y'all, fuck y'all. So
What
this,
kind of treaties did they have besides? I guess multiple different.
well, they
things
were
going
buying
on.
weapons from them, and they had
Yeah.
these and the Iran had military treaties where they were basically blocking. They were blocking any Soviet kind of influence into the Middle East because United States was trying to stop communism.
right.
So they stopped all that, and they were
Right.
basically Iran was basically like we're going to team up with Russia now. We're not your friends anymore, pretty much. So this is that anti-Western policy that still is involved in the U.S. It still is involved in Iran today. It's all coming from this. So then what happened? So that was November 4th, 1979. 3 days later, November 7th, 1979, President Jimmy Carter, who some people, I think just was recently voted, they said worst president in United States history. They don't like him. Because this really tarnishes.
According to
Who knows?
Yeah.
According to freaking, BuzzFeed.
the New York Post.
Yes, that's my favorite newspaper. President Carter, he sends a diplomatic team in and, tries diplomacy first. Nothing, not working. They don't want to negotiate with them. The Ayatollah won't even meet with his people. It says, United States, Iran is not interested in talking to the United States diplomatically. So, what President Carter does is he hits their pockets. He freezes all Iranian banking assets. So now you freezing my money.
You fucking with money.
Now you fucking with my money.
And when you fuck with their money, you fuck with their emotions.
So this escalates tensions and signals that the U.S. is shifting from negotiation to economic pressure. So they're gonna one stock up. Also, quickly, when I told you about Argo, what that actual story is 6 American diplomats escaped through the back door amid the chaos of that day of November 4th. And so that's what the movie Argo is about, is the 6 who escaped. It's actually a dope movie and a dope story.
I saw it a while
So
ago.
they collaborated with the Canadian government, and they got into the Argo, the 6 American diplomats who escaped, one of them being played by Ben Affleck. They hid with Canadian diplomats in Tehran for 79 days, moving between 2 safe houses. And the CIA agent, Tony Mendez, actually created the cover story, which was a fake Hollywood sci-fi film crew scouting locations in Iran, codenamed Argo. And they made a fake production company, script, ads, and they held a press event in LA. It was this was a fake movie that was fully just to get these hostages out, fake passports and all that. And the operation actually remained classified for 17 years until it was dramatized in Argo. And some of the stories like that, parts of the movie that weren't true, is the dramatic airport chase, which was one of the best parts of the movie. That never happened. The fake film project was actually more elaborate in real life than it was in the film. And the hostages weren't in one house together the whole time. They were in a bunch of different houses. So here's what happens on November 19, 1979. The hostage takers release 13 American hostages. Why? They released 2 women, Elizabeth Ann Swift and Catherine Koob, and 11 African Americans, but no white people. Racist! They wouldn't release the whites because the captors claimed this was based on the special place of women in Islam. Allah has a special place for women in Islam. And it also meant that at the time that men should not physically harm women or imprison them in unjust circumstances. And they also Iran wanted solidarity with oppressed minorities in the U.S. So because the 11 black hostages were considered minorities, they were released early. So I wonder if you as a Puerto Rican, if they would release you or not.
I think they would.
You think they would?
Yeah.
But Ancestry.com, you're mostly white, right? You have a lot of Portuguese.
Portuguese.
Yeah. So they said to the black hostages and women, you are not our enemies. You are oppressed people just like us. And that was a tough thing for the hostages because you're like, on the one hand, I'm getting out, but on the other hand, you're using me as propaganda. So I don't know. So now we got 53 American hostages, all white men, and they got held for 444 days. But you're okay with that because they're white. You're okay with the white hostages.
Yeah, that's not too long.
440. You can do anything for 444 days.
Yeah.
That's a year and a half.
Yeah. You didn't have
Deal
to
with it.
about like this.
Beep. In an Iranian prison.
Yeah. What were the conditions?
Now, so we'll get to that because the conditions started out being okay and then they got bad. Then they just started really not caring about them at all.
Shit.
But so the U.S. military, by the way, tried to save the hostages. April 24th, 1980, U.S. military launched a top secret mission called Operation Eagle Claw. And it was awful, bro. The helicopters collided in midair,
Jeez.
killed 8 servicemen. all it did was basically show Iran, oh, they're about to send the military in. So that made the Ayatollah
Irate.
said, okay, so now you want to use military force? Now we're going to really deteriorate these hostages' conditions. We were treating them nice before, but now you're sending helicopters in. So this is what really tarnishes Jimmy Carter's legacy, because they're like, you fucked this whole thing up. And that's why with the recent Iranian U.S. war, it was like, what is Trump going to do? Because if you send in troops and it's a disaster, you're going to be Jimmy Carter. So that's why it was tough. But he sent in the bunker buster bomb. Now what happens is Ayatollah. Hey.
Just calling to say that your dinner's ready.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. We'll get it. So the nice lady. Ayatollah Khomeini and the Revolutionary Guard. I like that name for an army, the Revolutionary Guard. It's nice. They took over control of the hostages directly, and the students, and then they started moving the hostages from, they had them first in the embassy in like rooms, now they're putting them in actual Iranian prisons, like chaining them to the floor, only feeding them enough to survive. They did that for like months. One guy was in solitary confinement for the entire 444 days with no lights on.
He should start acting right.
For real? Yeah.
He's probably a troublemaker.
Yeah. Came out praising Allah. So hostages, they couldn't speak to each other. They couldn't walk freely. They weren't even allowed to stand up unless they were going to the bathroom. Ugh. Yeah, it sucks. There was all these horrible stories. A couple of them tried to commit suicide. One guy started bashing his head on the floor. Another guy tried to cut himself with glass. The guards would carry out mock executions. They would throw dummies down onto the elevator shaft, hanging with hoods on their head in front of the other captors saying, we just killed your boy. And they thought, we're next, blah, 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 but it was all fake.
Yeah, it's torture.
Yeah. So they let one guy out, Richard Queen, yes, because his health was really deteriorating, and Iran released him citing humanitarian reasons, because they actually didn't want any of the hostages to die, because they knew if the hostages died, that's a humanitarian crisis, and that's going to be that's going to make the world then turn on Iran. So they're basically trying to be like, we got your hostages, but we're not going to kill them, but we're going to make the hostages think we're going to kill them. They're playing mind games. July 27th, 1980, the Shah dies of cancer in Egypt. He just fucking dies. Everybody thought, okay, this is going to end it now. You got the Shah's dead. But the Ayatollah says, nah, that ain't enough, Bob. That's not enough. You got to unfreeze our banking assets. We want our money back. So Jimmy Carter's like, no, that's going to make the United States look weak. We're not unfreezing your banking assets. So the U.S. frustration, it's getting bad in the United States, because now the own people are like, yo, get the hostages out of Iran. Like, why are they there in the first place? It's getting bad. And Ayatollah Khomeini on September 12th, 1980, one day after your first birthday, says there's new conditions for the hostages releases. He says he wants the Shah's wealth that the United States stole back, and he wants to unfreeze Iranian assets. So Carter wouldn't budge. He said that releasing the funds without securing the hostages would reward Iran's hostage-taking and weaken U.S. credibility. We do not negotiate with terrorists. So Algeria, believe it or not, shout out Algeria, they acted as a neutral mediator. Thank you, Algeria. And they helped Iran. They all the meetings were happening there. They were basically like calming tensions down, and Iran agreed to release the hostages once it saw a signed agreement, and the U.S. agreed to unfreeze Iranian assets and pledge non-interference after the hostages were freed. So, January 19, 1981, U.S. and Iran signed the Algiers Accords, they were called, and this allows them to release the hostages and give the money back. However, this was President Jimmy Carter, he didn't get reelected. President Ronald Reagan was coming in. So purposely, Iran, just so Jimmy Carter wouldn't get the presidential credit, they did not release the hostages until January 19th, 1981, after Reagan was inaugurated.
Wow.
So, I'm sorry, waited till January 20th, 1981, when Ronald Reagan was sworn in, just for a last fuck you to Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
So, and then it's crazy, because when they came back, when the people came back, when the hostages got back they released them from Iran and they brought them back to West Germany, Jimmy Carter was there, and they didn't really even want to hug. He went to hug them all, and they were just kind of standing there. If you look at the footage, they were kind of like, "This is your fault that we had to do this." So it's thanks, but no thanks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did they look all malnourished? Did they look like Tom Hanks in Castaway?
In Philadelphia, full-blown AIDS. William Doherty, who endured total solitary confinement, said it was not a warm welcome. Many of the hostages felt abandoned when Carter allowed the Shah into the U.S., believing it put them at risk. So that was the big problem, is when they let the Shah have the cancer treatment, this is what really caused the issue. And, it was a huge relief in the U.S., obviously, because, we got the hostages back, but it tarnished Jimmy Carter's legacy, and it just wasn't good. And that's why you don't let dictators in for medical treatment. If Kim Jong-un wants to come in because he needs to take a shit, he can't come into the United States, Pop. It's what it is. What did you learn?
I didn't know Jimmy.
You weren't
Carter,
paying attention.
I was. No, I didn't know Jimmy Carter was hated that much because of that. I didn't know that. Interesting.
That's what it is. And that's it, baby. That was a little bit of the Iranian hostage crisis. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you didn't like. And remember, yesterday was history.